This is the second installment covering the Union Pacific's Black Butte sub, the focus of which will be the southern portion to Dunsmuir and a little beyond. A bright April day sees a Portland to Roseville freight rounding the last few corners of the journey for this crew. It will soon be arriving in Dunsmuir, the next crew change location. Nestled tightly in the Sacramento River Canyon, Dunsmuir has been watching train crews come and go since the 1800s. Today, this is where the Black Butte sub ends and the Valley sub begins. This was the first train I ever filmed on this subdivision, and it happened to be the longest, breaking the tape at 2 miles and 10 feet long. In 1860, the California Stage Company operated a line of stagecoaches between Sacramento and Portland, 710 miles long. To make the trip, it took a considerable payment of $45 to pay the 35 drivers and 500 horses it took to complete the journey. On December 17, 1887, though, this manner of travel was made obsolete with the inaugural runs of Southern Pacific's trains from the terminals of Portland and Sacramento for a fee of about $20. Leaving Dunsmuir, the tracks follow the easier river grade along the Sacramento River as the line transitions from the Cascades and Siskiyou Mountains toward the San Joaquin Valley. Here we see the IBRLC. This train is almost at the halfway point of its journey from Portland's Brooklyn Intermodal Yard to LATC Los Angeles. The scheduled journey is 2 days and 3 hours for this train, and it tends to be here in the afternoon, when it's on schedule. The IBRLC is consistently run conventional, meaning no DPU helpers, unlike the North Intermodal, which has them about half the time. The icy slopes of 14,179-foot Mount Shasta seem to always be looming above almost wherever you go on the 108-mile route of the Black Butte Sub. For 2.6 miles between North Azalea and South Mott, the line is CTC double-track main line. This is the final available place for trains to potentially meet before arriving in Dunsmuir, 8.4 miles further from Mott. This is a fairly long distance to go without sidings, considering what lies in between. A steep, twisting route winding down some of the steepest grades on the entire system.
Go ahead, Foreman Bear. Hey, just wanted to let you know, at this point, everybody's in the clear, and we'll be staying in the clear, but you go ahead and check out the swampy. All right, show stuff
I made a visual showing the pattern of regular trains you will see day to day on this route. Canadian wheat exchanged at Eastport, as on the train we're watching right now, has the longest journey to make. Grain trains are also the heaviest trains that will take on the grueling 2.44% grade, looping down to the bottom of the canyon. The plummeting grade, combined with sharp curves, have tested the salt of many engineers, as well as the limits of the equipment itself. And there's no better example of this than CANTARA Loop. This plaque commemorates the disaster of 1991 when a train hauling chemicals derailed here, sending hazardous materials into the Sacramento River. The risk didn't end with the UP takeover. That was made evident when the UP train derailed at the same place in November 2022. This prompted a project by the railroad to protect the pristine Sacramento River with a steel barricade to keep cars from spilling into the river ever again at this location. For 46 miles between Grass Lake and Dunsmuir, the tracks only go downgrade at various degrees of magnitude. Southbound trains are almost always heavier than the northbound trains here, and they use dynamic brakes and trainline air brakes to manage their speed. Track speed is 20 miles per hour here for freight and passenger in certain areas. However, crews will be found managing slower speeds when necessary to maintain control of their trains. Today, the waters sparkle clear and pure, rising from Big Spring near Mount Shasta to their terminus 320 miles later when it joins the tidal reaches of the San Joaquin. Of that flowing journey, it would be difficult to find a more beautiful spot than this one, only a couple miles from Dunsmuir. MOSSBRAE Falls provides hikers a respite not unlike a place imagined in a fantasy story. In my opinion, the only thing that could make the Garden of Eden better is when a railroad runs through it. Just a few dozen yards upstream, the tracks cross from the east bank to the west on this 1901-built single-span through truss bridge. This spot is something of a hidden gem. Due to its location, the journey necessitates crossing the river on foot and following a secret trail, quote-unquote, along the Union Pacific right-of-way, no less. This happens to be the only steel through truss bridge on the entire Black Butte sub. Subdivision restrictions on tons per dynamic brake axle no doubt had this train's top speed restricted between Grass Lake and Dunsmuir. A chart in the employee timetable outlines train speeds negotiating the hill, which can further restrict speeds of trains beyond track speed restrictions. The heaviest gross car weight permitted on the route is 158 tons. The paperwork will average out a train's tons per operative brake. For loaded trains like this, it can average out around 120 tons. With only 2 locomotives providing the dynamic brakes, this train was likely restricted to 25 or 30 miles per hour for the final 46 miles. At Roseville, this train will be broken up again. These cars are destined for Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Illinois, and parts of Central and Southern California. Not too far behind the HKRV is a stack train coming down the hill. Let's have a look at the hiking trail in the meantime. Once on the trail, it isn't far to Hedge Creek Falls. It's a beautiful spot, and the trail will take you right behind the waterfall. From there, you make your way to the river and forge across hip-deep waters. From there, the path follows the tracks for about 1/3 of a mile. And of course, you will always see Mount Shasta nearby. The jagged face of Castle Crag, several miles south of town, play host to the most consistent and hottest train on the Pacific Coast for UP, the ZLCTM. On the last leg of their trip over the Valley Sub, this train crew will hand over the throttle to the next crew, who will likely be in Klamath Falls within 3.5 hours. Not a bad day on the railroad. The only thing that could change the next crew's short day would be if they flip back on a southbounder. With so many available hours to work, they would be called into service should there be a shortage of manpower in K Falls. This happens frequently, but the plus side is the crew will be paid for 2 train trips for 1 day's work. No matter what happens during the day, the crew managers in Omaha are sure to save a crew for the Z train. The schedule for the UPS on board is one that UP wants to keep on time. Behind the Z train, we moved a little bit north. We're still at Castella, as an RVPT, which just got run around by the ZLCTM, is chugging north with cars bound for the Lake Yard in Portland. At MOTT, the south end of Double Main Track, we see the ZLCTM again, still climbing over 2% grade. On another day, we have a lineup of evening northbounds. Today, the RVPT was a bit earlier than the last one and hasn't been run around by the Z train yet. Evenings tend to be busy on the Black Butte sub, and this memorable trip demonstrated that. I'm one of the conductors who receive these trains in Klamath Falls and take them to Eugene, and I was glad to see what the crews before me get to see. Though we work the same job, it can't be overstated just how different the experience is from one subdivision to the next. As the sun goes down, another train crew is just rising to do their part as we keep goods moving from one corner of America to the next. But I couldn't be more grateful to God for creating such beauty for us to build and work through. The rush is over, and a full moon lights the way home. But before we go, let's end this journey how we started, back in Dunsmuir, changing crews at the station. I hope you all enjoyed the trip. It's been a busy but enjoyable time putting together only but a taste of the Black Butte sub. We're closing the chapter now and opening up a new one, and I suspect I'll see a lot of you there as we start exploring the MOTT. Friends, thanks for watching Pacific Rail Productions, and God bless.